Welcome to the lower body maintenance routine. This is a fairly short routine that will get you moving through all of your ranges of motion in your lower body, as well as touching on some of the most important stretches. This is a routine that could be used either as a start point if you've never done any mobility or flexibility training before and you're wanting to get into it, or this could just be used as a way of maintaining your mobility after having completed a mobility course. I've tried to keep this as brief as possible, but even then I can only get this down to about 14 minutes. But I'd hope that if being more mobile is one of your goals, then you'd have at least 14 minutes to dedicate to that goal every day. I'm voicing over this routine because I've tried to do this in the past and explain it at the same time as doing it, but things move too fast and it doesn't flow very smoothly, so it's just easier to do things this way. While we're on the subject, yes, this routine is going to move quite fast. I set up a timer for myself while doing this to make sure that we get everything done in a short amount of time. So don't worry if things move too fast on your first couple of times through this routine. Once you understand the stretches and get used to the routine, everything should start to flow quite smoothly. With that being said, let's get into it. So we're going to start here with hip circles. So keeping your legs straight, keeping your hands on your hips. We're just rotating through the biggest circle that you can make with your hips. You'll feel that stretch through your lower back and all around the sides of your hips. Once you've done a couple in one direction, we're going to change direction. Same thing, just trying to draw the biggest circle with your hips as possible. Okay, moving from there, you're going to bring your feet right together, your knees right together, and we're doing knee circles. So your hands are just resting on your knees, and they kind of help to gently push your knees into place here. We're just drawing, again, if you're looking downwards, a big circle around. So you can see a little bit more from the side here. I'm pushing forwards over my toes, around, so I'm getting that stretch through my knees and through my ankles. And then as I come back, I kind of guide my knees backwards into that straighter position. Moving from here, we're going to move into ankle rocks. So keeping your legs straight, keeping that little bit of pressure down on your thighs. You are rocking from one side to the other side of your foot. You'll feel the stretch all the way down the sides of your shins. And just play around with positions here so you can feel that on the sides of your shins. I find putting that little bit of pressure through the legs and leaning over means that I can get more of a stretch here. Okay, so moving straight on from here, still standing up, we are doing ankle circles. Quite an easy one. One leg is up, one leg is supporting, and you're drawing the bigger circle now with your toes. Making that big circle around your ankle, again, feeling for the stretch here. Switching directions, and then the same thing the other way. And then just changing foot, same thing. One leg on the ground, one leg up, drawing the bigger circles that you can. So try not to move anything else other than your foot here or your ankle. A lot of times you can move the knee and feel like you're doing a lot of work, or a bigger circle than you are, and you are not. So change direction if you haven't done already. Perfect. So now we're moving into joint rotations for your hip. One leg out straight, one leg supporting you on the ground. So just the heel of that front leg on the ground, and you're rotating your femur, so the big bone in your thigh, in the hip socket. So you're rotating as far out as you can, and then as far in as you can. And then you're going to take that heel further out to the side and do the same thing. As far out as you can, get that little stretch, and then as far in as you can, get that little stretch. Switching legs now. Again, I told you this is going to move very fast. Leg out straight, rotating in and out. Hold for a couple of seconds in each stretch. And then moving that leg out to the side and doing the same thing. Pull in and pull out. Feeling that stretch in the end range of each of those movements. Okay, so moving down to the floor now, we are moving into cat-cows. So focusing on the spine, we're trying to make a wave through the spine. starting at the head as you come into that cat position, starting at the hips as you come back down. You are trying to roll segmentally up your spine like a little Mexican wave. You can play around with this. You can always start every wave from your hips. I prefer to do them this way, where I kind of come up and then come down. I find that I can feel it better, but it's completely up to you. Moving from there, you're still in that same position. We are doing hip circles or knee circles. Nothing else moves apart from that knee comes around in a big circle. Changing direction now. Again, you're just trying to get the most out of that joint, so you're rotating the big circle, scraping around the hip socket here. So you should feel your bum squeeze first as you come around, and then the knee comes around, like you're kind of like you've got a little gate to hop over. Switching legs, same thing on the other side. So you're drawing that big circle, the biggest circle that you can with the knee, without letting your torso rock out to the side. And then changing direction. Again, as you come up on this one, the bum squeezes first, then you rotate that leg around like you're hopping over a little fence. Okay, moving from here, we're going into a deep lunge position. The first position we're going to do here is having the hands down, so one hand either side of the leg. You are squeezing the bum, but you're pressing your chest down through that front thigh. So the stretch should be felt kind of under the front leg here, mostly. You'll feel it a little bit in the hips as well. But the key to this stretch is just to push the weight down through that front leg. Try and drive the knee a little bit over the front toe. From here, pressing yourself up, you're leaning backwards now, focusing more on squeezing the bum at the back, and that stretch should change to your back leg. Particularly the hip flexor at the front of that back leg. And just a note on that last stretch, if you can't quite get your palms flat down, then fingertips or knuckles would be fine. Just something that can allow you to drive pressure down into the ground and over your thigh. Perfect. Moving down from there, both hands go inside of that front foot. You drop the knee out to the side. We go into what's called lizard pose here, and you push your hips a little bit more forward, and you'll feel that stretch now on the inside of that front hip. A little bit of, again, playing around with the position. You might find better stretches, but what you really want to do is rock that foot off the ground, or the big toe off the ground, as you push that knee out to the side, and then you should be able to get deeper into that stretch. Okay, switching legs now, we are going to do the same thing on your second leg. Starting in that deep lunge position, hand either side of your foot, pressing the weight down through your thigh, knee over toe, feeling that stretch underneath your front leg. Use this routine as well if you're doing this daily as a kind of check-in on your body. Maybe one side's feeling tighter than the other. Maybe that could inform your training or can inform your stretching practice. Propping yourself back up from there. Again, hands on the thigh, squeezing the bum at the back. The stretch should now change to the back leg's hip flexor. And if you're not quite feeling it in the back leg, just lean back a little bit more and make sure you are squeezing your bum to push your hips forwards. Okay, hands go down from there on the inside of that front foot. Knee drops out to the side, so the big toe kind of comes off the ground as that foot rocks out, and then you push the hips back forwards again, and you should feel that stretch on the inside of the hip. If it's not feeling quite comfortable here, if it feels like it's more bone jamming into bone than a stretch, just adjust where that front foot is and maybe adjust your torso. Again, play around with the position until you feel the right stretch here. And then coming out of that position, we are now sitting on the ground. So one leg is going to cross over. You're going to have your chest tall, your back tall, and you're hugging that knee in towards your chest. You should feel the stretch on the outside of the hip of the leg that you've just crossed over as you pull that in towards your chest. If you have really flexible hips or good rotation of your hips, then you won't feel this super hard. But as long as you complete that position, you're maintaining it. From there, keeping that leg crossed over, you're going to lie down, and we're making a cross 4 position. Again, this is one from yoga. I'm not sure if it's actually called a cross four position, but this is the position we're going for. Just allows you to get a slightly different stretch on the side of that hip. So hands are around the back of the thigh, and you're pulling that the leg that's not crossed over towards your chest. From there, if my right leg is being crossed over, my right foot is now jammed into my left leg. I'm going to reach up towards the sky and then reach forward. So it's my left leg stretching now, stretching the hamstrings as I reach forwards. Just one leg at a time, keeping that leg straight. And if you can, you would grab your foot here. If you can't quite grab your foot, grab anything along that line. So if you can only grab to your calf, then grab your calf, but just something to hold on to kind of pull you into that stretch. Perfect. So coming out of that position, you are now going to start on the other side. So if you're following along with me, this is your left leg now. Leg crossed over, chest tall, back straight, hugging that knee in towards your chest, searching for that stretch down the side of the glute or the hip. As always in these stretching positions, now that we're doing these kind of holds rather than your joint rotations, your focus should be on big deep breaths. Try to expand as you breathe in, soften as you breathe out. Shove yourself forward, keep that leg crossed over, grab behind the thighs and then pull towards your chest. Again, similar stretch, but maybe a slightly different feeling here. And if you want to increase the stretch even more, you can use your elbow to jam into that crossed over leg a little bit more to push the knee down, which just increases the stretch on the hip there. Okay, coming up, shoving yourself back. That right leg now stays straight. The left foot jams into the right leg, so it's crossed over. Reach up towards the sky, and then reach forwards as you breathe out. Grab onto whatever you can, but just grab onto something, and then pull yourself kind of into that stretch. Making sure that you keep the straight leg completely straight. So you might need to squeeze that thigh. Perfect. So just finishing off on a couple of things now. We're going to lie down on the ground. You're going to pull your knees towards your chest, and we're rocking through the back. We're kind of giving your lower back a little bit of a massage here. So I would start with drawing little circles with your knees like I'm doing here, and you can kind of feel over your entire back. And if you find any points that are particularly tight or feel particularly good under that massage, then stick on them or kind of rock through them positions. And then from here, bringing the feet even further up, you're grabbing the bottom of your feet, heels pointed towards the ceiling. We are doing happy baby pose. One of my favorites, even though one of the weirdest stretches from yoga. It feels great on the hips. So in this position, again, find what's good for you. Wiggle around a little bit, see how it feels, and kind of make the most of that stretch. Right, so that is the end of the routine, but not necessarily the end of your session here. If you're doing this routine for general maintenance and you don't have any particular pains or restrictions in your lower body, then this is where you'd finish. If you do, however, have any particularly tight areas and you found that one or two of these stretches really worked that area, then you would now go back and just repeat those stretches once more for 30 seconds per side, and then you would finish your practice. So I hope you've enjoyed, and remember that you are what you repeatedly do. Unless you're genetically blessed to have mobile hips for life, then you'll have to work on this like the rest of us, which means some kind of movement practice like this multiple times a week, just to tell your body that you want to keep all of this range. With that being said, I hope you're feeling better for having completed the session and found it easy enough to add into your routine so that you can keep moving freer for longer. See you later.